everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace and a pair of earrings today from the latest Jessie James Magical Mystery Bead Box, the Stories from the Sea box. In here are all beads that came in the box. Most of these came from the sea glass bead set. There were a couple of these black sort of cylinder shaped beads that have got a little bit of green in them that were in the glass beach bead strand. They're just exactly like the ones that were in the sea glass bead set though, so I brought them in there to use. This big shell pendant, I'm deciding that's what it is a pendant, was in the Castaway Treasures bead mix. These are some bead caps from my stash. These are a couple of different sizes of spacers from my stash. I've got some findings in here. I've got a lobster clasp, a couple pieces of chain, a couple of wire guards, a couple of 2x2 crimp tubes, some some jump rings, an extender chain. I've got a ball head pin and one of the rondelles that was on the chain reaction that came in the box. I'm going to hang that off the back of the extender chain as a dangle. In here I'm going to make some earrings, so I've got some of the beads that were in the was in the sea glass mix and some of the spacers, and I have a couple these two little shell beads that were in the Castaway Treasures bead mix. I think they were in there. I know they're not the same color, one's blue and one's green, but I've decided they're going to match my bracelet because my necklace, because it's got blue and green in it, so I've decided that they're going to match. And I got a couple of eye pins and a couple of fishhook ear wires in there. I've got my soft flex beading wire and fine. This is extreme flex, and I just found a bunch of spools on sale and bought a lot of them. I usually just use the regular fine soft flex beading wire. If this is champagne, it doesn't really matter about the color because by the time you get your beads on there, you're not going to be able to see the color of the wire. This is 19 strand, but you don't have to use 19 strand. You don't have to use soft flex. You can use whatever bead stringing wire you want to. I've got my bead stoppers. I use the Bead-A-Lon crimp tubes. I've got my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers. Tweezer pliers are Zuron. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. These I got from Baby Craft many years ago, and these are called Glitter Line. I've got my brand new crimping pliers that I absolutely love. These are Zuron. I've got both pairs of my cutters. They're Zuron, and I use one pair for bead stringing wire and the other pair for head pins and eye pins and craft wire. I've got my round nose pliers. I got these from Baby Craft many years ago. And I've got my old crimping pliers. These are Bead-A-Lon, and I've decided I'm just going to use these to tuck in the ends of my wire. When I cut off the wire, I tuck in the burr with these. I know I could use my new crimping pliers, but the circular part on the end of these is a little bit more round, and I think it's a little bit better to tuck in my wires with. Plus, I don't want him to feel like I've just cast him aside and don't want him anymore, so I don't want him to feel lonely, so I'm going to use him for that. And I have my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. And I think that's everything. As many as I can find links for, I'll put links in the description box to the stuff I'm using here today. So hold on, I'll get some of my beads poured out. I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to string this now. This is really easy project, really beginner friendly. I'm going to string on 5 of my larger spacer beads from my stash. And then one of these cylinder shaped beads. And then one of these flat spacers that came in the box. And then another cylinder shaped bead. And then one of these smaller spacers from my stash. And one of my bead caps. A green bead. One of my bead caps. One of the smaller spacers from my stash. One of these square flat blue beads. One of the flat spacers. Another square flat blue bead. One of the smaller spacers from my stash. One of my bead caps. A green bead. One of my bead caps. Another smaller spacer. Another one of these cylinder shaped beads. One of the flat spacer beads. Another cylinder shaped bead. Another flat spacer bead. One of these oddly shaped blue beads. Another flat spacer. Another oddly shaped blue bead. One of the smaller spacers. Bead cap. Green bead. Bead cap. Now I'm going to do 3 of these larger spacers from my stash. And I'm going to string on my shell pendant, and I added it had a jump ring on it, and I added another jump ring because I wanted it to hang a little bit lower. It's a 6mm jump ring that I added. 3 more of the larger beads from my stash. Bead cap. Green bead. Bead cap. One of the smaller beads from my stash. Spacer beads. Another one of these oddly shaped blue beads. A flat spacer bead. Another oddly shaped blue bead. Flat spacer bead. One of these cylinder beads. Flat spacer bead. Cylinder bead. Small spacer. Bead cap. Green bead. bead cap, small spacer, flat blue bead, flat spacer, flat blue bead, small spacer bead, bead cap, green bead, bead cap, small spacer bead, cylinder bead, flat spacer bead, cylinder bead, and then 5 of my larger spacer beads. So that's what I got. Now I'm going to get my stuff together and crimp it. I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to crimp. I'm going to put my crimp tube on here. Then my wire guardian. I'm going to come down the other channel of my wire guardian. Back down my crimp tube. Hold my wires apart so that they don't get crossed. And squish my little crimp or my little wire guardian a little bit. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and go on the part there that has a little tooth on one side. Make sure there's no wire sticking out up here. Lay my crimp in there. Squeeze. Turn my crimp. That puts each little wire in its own little individual channel. Now I'm going to go up here. There's 3 different circular spaces here. I'm going to go in the second one because that's the part that for the 2x2 crimp tubes. Lay my crimp in there. Squeeze and fold my crimp. Then I'm going to go up to the one above that and squeeze again and just give it a little extra squeeze. If I can get it in there. Tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut off the extra wire. Now I'm going to bring all this down and cut it off my spool here. Now I'm going to put my crimp tube on this side, my wire guardian. Come down the other side of my wire guardian. through my crimp tube. And I like to try to go through a bead or two on this side to get my hands out of the way when I'm trying to crimp. Hold on to the wire guardian and pull on the wire. I think my wire just got crossed there, so I'm going to pull it back out and do it again. If your wire gets crossed, your crimp is more likely to fail, and we don't want that to happen. Go back through the crimp tube. Keep my wires separated. Go back through the crimp tube. Back through a bead. Hold onto my wire guardian and pull my wire down. Tuck my wire guardian in just a little bit. I'll try to keep my wires from being crossed and check and make sure there's no slack in my piece, but I don't want there to be, I don't want it to be too tight either, because if it's too tight it won't drape well. I'm going to go in the part of the crimpers that has that little tooth again. Lay it in there. Squeeze. Turn it around there. Go in that second part again. Squeeze and fold my crimp. And I'm going to go down into that first part, squeeze again. Tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut off the extra wire. Well, that's what I've got. Now I'm going to get my things together and put on my findings. I'll be back. Okay, I've got a couple of pieces of chain here. They're about 4 inches each. I'm going to take my jump ring. This is a 6mm jump ring. Thread one side of my necklace on. One of my pieces of chain. Close my jump ring. Make sure it gets closed up really well. Do the same thing on this other side. And I'm going to take another 6mm jump ring. Open it up. Put this into my chain and drop it. Put my lobster clasp on. Now this is an 8mm jump ring. Put it on my chain and put my extender chain on. This is about 2 inches of extender chain. And drop it. Close it up. Make sure it gets closed up really well. Now I'm going to make a little dangle to go on my extender chain. I'll put my rondelle on my ball head pin. Take my pliers. Go to the tip of the pliers. Bend the wire over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold on really tight. Take this part and push it up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until it's centered over the bead. Like that. And that usually almost stands your little wire almost straight up. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers. Hold on to my loop. Hold on really tight so it won't get out of shape. I'll take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. I'm just going to wrap till there's no more room to wrap. And I forgot to wrap it directly to the extender chain again. I do that all the time. I'm going to take my old pair of crimping pliers, so he'll still have a job to do, and tuck in my little burrs where I cut off my wire. I'm pretty sure that this extender chain will open. So I'm going to see if I can open it and thread my little dangle on and not have to get out a jump ring. Yeah, there's an opening there. There we go. That's what I've got for my necklace. Now I'm going to get my stuff together and make a little pair of earrings. I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to make a little pair of earrings now. I'm going to take my square blue bead, put it on my eye pin, my spacer bead, and my green bead. I'm just going to make a simple loop for this. I'm going to take my pliers. And go a little bit above the bead so that I don't crack my bead. Bend my wire over at a 90-degree angle. Cut off just a little bit, just enough to about 1/4 of an inch left. Take my round nose pliers and go to the tip of the pliers. Make sure there's no wire sticking out here. Roll back a loop. Make sure to get it closed up really well. If your bottom loop is not straight with your top loop, as mine almost always never are, just take 2 pliers and straighten it up. I'm going to take a little 4mm jump ring and hang my little shell on here because I want it to hang down just a little bit lower than if I put it directly on the eye pin. Get it closed up really well. I'm going to take my ear wire, open it up, thread my earring on, close it back up. There's my little earring. Now I'm going to make the other one off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, there we go. A sea glass and seashells necklace and earrings set made from the latest Jessie James Magical Mystery Bead Box. Get the earrings up here a little bit closer so you can see them better. Like I said, I know the little shells are not the same color, but I think they go well with the necklace because it's got both blue and green in it, and so do the earrings. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.